Hello.
Hello,
So,
Sean.
hello. So, you have a pretty crazy story from earlier today, right?
Yeah, and
Bit of a wet and wild experience, would you say?
I knew you wanted to start with this. That's fine. We'll go there. So, I have a vehicle with a sunroof, and I forgot that there seems to be a problem with the sunroof. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't hear it all the time, but when I get on the interstate or I'm going really fast, I hear a little bit of air coming in, a little bit of wind. I'm like, okay, seems
Right.
alarming. Kind of tired this morning. I'm running in between like events I've got to go to early in the day.
Sure.
And I'm talking to you on the phone, planning a little bit ahead on the podcast. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm going to get my car cleaned real quick.
Believe it or not, there's pre-show prep.
Yeah, believe it. This may seem like we're just making it up on the spot, but believe it or not, this is planned.
But yeah, so we're on the phone. You're going through the car wash.
There's no plan B for this podcast. So I get into the automated car wash and I say to you, as soon as it says stop, it's like, hey, park your car or go into neutral, whatever kind of car
Right.
wash you use.
Where you're effectively locked in at that point.
As soon as it like locked me in, I said, oh no, I forgot about the sunroof. And it's like at a gas station. It wasn't like an expensive car wash. This was just to get all the stuff off of it while I had a shot, throw $10 at it. Except this time I did the 15, and it was the top package at this specific car wash that doesn't pay me, so I'm not advertising them. But it's a nationwide, or at least most of the nation. A good amount of you have heard of this gas station. How about that?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So then we get through the first couple cycles. We get the suds. Suds are all over the car. All right. Not seeing anything yet. We're good. The rinse cycle happens. The water's coming, and I'm like, okay,
You're
sides on the
worried
sides,
that-
good.
Yeah, you're worried that you're going to get some water coming through that whatever size gap is in that sunroof there.
Yeah, because it's a gap where when you look at the sunroof from inside the car, you cannot clearly tell
Sure.
if there's space there. You can just barely hear it when you're on the interstate.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get to the part of the upgraded package. Again, I'm in a car wash with a package I usually don't pay for that does a little bit extra. So it's doing the colorful foam stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, oh my gosh.
You're just like watching it creep up the windshield, getting closer and closer.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. And then I turn away for a second. I look back and I was on the phone with you and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I had some foam come in. A friend of mine left a jacket to give to someone else in my car. It hasn't been delivered, and it is now a towel because I grabbed it very quickly and started trying to just like put it where I thought the hole should be, because the studs didn't start coming out like, oh, there's the hole in the window. It wasn't like a dam broke.
Right.
It like got stuck in the little part you cover the sunroof with that's made of that material that's on the top of your car.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like all of a sudden
also
that's a
whatever.
little soapy and it's come out there. And I'm like, what?
Oh my gosh.
So yeah. And the other part I didn't tell you is there's a part of my fender that needs to be repaired. I had it clipped in.
Mm-hmm.
One of those little rinser things came by and knocked it out. So when I got home, my car was cleaned, but like the mouth was all sideways.
Yeah.
It looked like I'd gotten in a clean accident. Like I ran through a Dawn factory or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the story about how I almost goof trooped it up. I almost pulled a new girl. I don't know who else has done
Yeah.
who else
Car
has
wash
done one of those.
scene.
Yeah. Car wash gone wrong, but hopefully that's the last thing that goes wrong today, because coming up on the show, we're going to be talking Scrubs Revival. We're going to be talking NFL, specifically just a couple of teams because we don't have all day. And then Formula One, it's in China, but in April we're losing a few races.
Welcome to Wit and Grit, where Ian and Sean break down sports betting, pop culture, or whatever's on their minds. The Wit and Grit Podcast.
Well. Here we are.
Back again.
Welcome
Just
to
like
the Wit and Grit.
Scrubs.
Just like Scrubs. What a segue, dude. You've got it.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. Well, they're on episode 4.
Yes. Episode 4 has
so far.
aired and is available on streaming now.
But we're doing episode 3 because we didn't watch episode 4 yet. And like, just so you know, I could spin this 2 ways. We could spin this one way, like, okay, you know, they're a little bit behind, so they're going to get caught up. Or maybe we're giving you guys time. Maybe we're giving you time so you can listen to the full podcast. And we're going to break down an episode you've already seen. You may have already forgotten a little bit of it because today's day and age, reels, shorts, everything's probably distracting the heck out of you while you're trying to watch it.
8 days long already, man. Come on.
I know. So we'll give you another week to get caught up on episode 4 like us, and we'll just kind of be one episode behind. It's just a better way to review TV shows, honestly, in the streaming age. Like when things aired live and maybe you had a DVR or two, it was a little bit different, but not anymore.
TVR too?
Well, like, you know, you had a show or two on the DVR.
Okay.
I don't know. People might have been serious about it.
Man, you never know.
Okay, so episode 3, let me just reset this for you because I know it's been a week.
Yep.
Elliot has a heart patient who is refusing further treatment. The patient wants to go home, wants to die on her own terms. And Elliot, who intellectually knows that death is part of the job, we've even seen her make a move like this in the old Scrubs show, like allowing a patient to do something that could kill herself. But has known it since she was an intern. She cannot accept it, and she will not let this woman go.
Right. And JD's been there too. Literally this exact same scenario. First season of Scrubs, there's an older woman who refuses dialysis and wants to go peacefully. JD really struggled with that, you know, as a 26-year-old intern, and now he's the one who's made peace with it.
That's the whole emotional engine of the episode, and honestly, the whole season so far. JD didn't become a better doctor by becoming harder. He became a better doctor by accepting things he could not change, and watching Elliot still fighting that battle at their age with their experience says something kind of real about who she is.
Yeah, the fear of being alone. That's what she finally admits at the end. She's not just fighting for the patient. She's fighting against the idea that people give up on each other.
Which hits different when you know she and JD are divorced, and she's the one who's still at Sacred Heart, and he bailed to be a concierge doctor for rich people.
Right. He left in some way. In her mind, he gave up on medicine, on them, on everything they built.
And the callback they're doing this season, not explicitly, but you can feel it, is JD in season 1 getting everything wrong for the right reasons versus JD now finally getting things right. So like that evolution is paying off in these quiet moments between him and Elliot.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So dig in a little bit for me to the actual plot here.
She took the entire hospital's electronic records offline, just knocked them out, so nobody could formally discharge the patient while she tracked down the ex-husband.
Right. So something very, fireable. I think she went and talked to the IT guy, right?
It's completely insane,
Yeah.
also dangerous. But if you think about it, for more than 5 seconds, every other patient in that hospital is now at risk because nobody can access their records electronically, which is a real problem. The show just kind of waves away, but
Yeah. And you had Turk in there threatening the IT guy over Dungeons and Dragons, which was kind of crazy.
one of the funniest things this show has done in years. So, I mean, if you've been on the podcast for Scrubs, like at all, if you did when they did the rewatch, you learned so much about Donald Faison and about Zach Braff that kind of separates their characters from their realities. Like, it seems like Donald Faison is the real life nerd and JD is the real life film and camera nerd.
Mhm.
Whereas in Scrubs, it was always portrayed, at least in the beginning, that Turk was a jock and he was cool. And Zach Braff was the one that was like, Star Wars.
Yeah. There's a whole Cats, play on this the show Cats, a surgeon and a doc above it all or whatever, where the
Right.
different gangs going at each other.
So let's see. Elliot finds that ex-husband. He
Right.
comes to the hospital and he seems awful. He's poking at her, being deliberately cruel, saying exactly the things that would make her angry.
Mm-hmm.
And you think this guy is the villain of the story. And that's when I was like, okay, Scrubs isn't really back. I saw that coming a mile away. Like, I should have been a little bit more surprised. As soon as they started calling him the guy from Up, I knew he was going to do that.
Yeah.
But then you realize he knows her. He knows that the only way she chooses to fight is she thinks someone is telling her she can't. So he's deliberately making her furious so she wants to live.
Yeah. Kind of operating on spite there. But, underneath it all, that's a classic Scrubs beat. The character that you're sure you've got figured out is doing something completely different.
And it earned the Elliot JD scene that followed because she doesn't tell JD you were right. She tells him what the case actually meant to her. And he doesn't say, I told you so. He just remembers who she is to him. Friends first, everything else second.
Which is the most mature thing the show has asked those characters to do. They've broke it up and gotten back together. They fought so many times. Letting them just be people who love each other without it having to mean romance, that's growth for them.
And now let's talk about the stuff that didn't work, at least according to some reviews. The tag at the end, JD tells Carlo the truth about Dungeons and Dragons night in this really petty, unnecessary way, and it deflates what had been a genuinely strong final act, according to, what was it? What was the website called?
TV Rant, I believe.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt kind of like they just had a minute or so to fill, and there wasn't any better idea than that.
And the one reoccurring thing I want to flag for anyone watching, the intern named Blake, the one who's been needing Asher since episode 1. One reader pointed out he's actually been slowly warming up. Episode 1, he was mean. Episode 2, he checked in on Asher. Episode 3, he was quietly encouraging. If that's intentional character work and not just inconsistent writing, that's actually good, but maybe a little bit accelerated.
Yeah.
It might be happening a bit too quick, like they don't know if they're going to get another season, which is how a lot of Scrubs had to be written post season 5.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know when things are going to end. So I get it. What about the janitor situation? I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing him.
Still no Neil Flynn. They have a friendly janitor type in the building, and it's not working. It just highlights the absence. Neil Flynn is the janitor. There's no version of replacing that energy. He's confirmed to appear this season, so we're waiting. I mean...
Yeah. And I mean, technically JD at this point will be his boss, right? I mean, is that how that works? Or does he not report to the chief of medicine? He probably doesn't. I guess Bob Kelso always kind of ordered him around. So it kind of,
no, I mean, I think everyone sort of answers to the chief of medicine. I think the chief of medicine is the de facto head of the hospital. I mean, yeah, janitorial staff may fall under a different category that's not doctors.
Right.
So like, they're probably unioned up depending on what, I can't remember. Did they ever define what state this was in, or they left it ambiguous?
I know it's on the West Coast because I think doesn't Kim live?
They take a road trip to Vegas.
Yeah.
So it's got to be somewhere near-ish there. They also make the road trip really long.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but anyway, it'll be interesting to see their dynamic, I guess was my point.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're waiting.
Yeah. What about Dr. Cox and the liver cancer theories? There's been, obviously a ton of drinking references there.
I'm not going to confirm or deny anything because we haven't seen episode 4 yet, but people are watching every Cox scene with a magnifying glass right now, and I don't blame them. We haven't really gotten one since episode 1.
Right. No. Yeah. TV Fanatic, that pretty good source there, gave episode 3 a 4.8 out of 5. And that feels right. It wasn't my lunch or my screw up. Not going to end up on the all-time list, but it is real scrubs. It earned its emotional moments. And in 2026, there's a lot of revivals that feel like cash grabs. So I think the way that they earn it really matters.
Episode 4 drops on Hulu this week. I think it's already out.
Yep. I believe you out like last night.
Yes. I mean, fresh out. We're almost halfway through and it's not really lost a step. So I'm kind of glad that it's got the kind of series. It's got like more of a Breaking Bad season order, not like a full broadcast order where they're going to go past New Year's Eve and everything like that.
Yeah, right. But no, definitely check it out. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Let's go to football. Ba-da-da-da. Play all of our mini football audios, Dan. Dan, are you even awake?
But that's what I love watching.
All right. We won't give him a mic. That's the best he can do. Okay, let's go through it. Part 1, free agency week 1. The big picture. Did you get sick of all those tweets coming to your phone, all those ESPN breaking news alerts for things you already saw? You're like, I can't read any of this. I'm overstimulated by my phone. I don't care for this. Well, we're here to tell you what happened that actually matters.
Yeah, what was the big theme of week 1?
NFL free agency officially open. Legal tampering period kicked off Monday. The new league year started Wednesday, and it's been kind of chaotic. The theme was the quarterback carousel spun hard and fast. The edge rusher market exploded early, and a few teams surprised everyone by going quiet when everyone expected them to be loud. Starting with the biggest story of the week. Kyler Murray is a Minnesota Viking. It's official. The Vikings finalized the long-expected move this week after Arizona released him. And, Sean, the context here is important because this is not a desperate team reaching for a broken quarterback. This is a calculated bet.
So walk me through that Murray situation first, because this guy's getting paid $36.8 million by Arizona this year to not play for them.
Right. Arizona is eating that entire salary. Murray wanted out. The Cardinals wanted him gone. NFL reporter James Palmer put it plainly. Both sides were ready to move on. Arizona is paying his salary to watch him play for Minnesota. That is a bad contract situation getting fully cooked. Now, what Minnesota's actually getting, according to Adam Schefter, in 87 games, Murray has more than 20,000 passing yards and more than 3,000 rushing yards. The only quarterbacks other than Kyler Murray all time with those numbers through that point in their careers, Josh Allen and Cam Newton. Only company he keeps as a dual threat weapon.
So that's some real talent.
But let me ask you this.
Okay.
Any Super Bowl rings there?
Nope.
Just saying.
I'm not even sure how many playoff wins Kyler has under his belt.
None.
That's okay. That's kind of what I thought.
Has he been?
I think. Let's see.
Feels like Arizona's only good until Thanksgiving.
That's fair.
Then it's like, oh, wait.
In 2022, they lost in the wild card round to the Rams.
So one wild card appearance through all of his time with the Cardinals, the only team that drafted him.
And he was not good. 137 yards, 2 INTs, 0 touchdowns, career low in passer rating.
I mean, serious foot injury last year. So health, durability, and fit. Started 17 games in a season, only once in the last 5 years. Palmer's breakdown of the Vikings thinking was interesting. Minnesota sees itself as a quarterback reclamation program. We talked about this last week, Sean. Kevin O'Connell makes quarterbacks better. That has been the number one thing you've heard about the Vikings since Mike Zimmer left that office. And when they fired the GM, they were fully saying, you screwed up letting Sam Darnold leave, and we're going to stick with the coach who seems to be a quarterback whisperer and can take Daniel Jones and get him paid for the Colts, can take Sam Darnold and get him paid by the Seahawks and get a Super Bowl. So we saw, I mean, it's like the worst kept secret was that Murray was clearly going to probably go to the Vikings. The only other team I heard whispers about were people that wanted him to go to the Rams because they just love Sean McVay getting anything new. People love him.
Sure. Well, there's got to be one person in Minnesota here who's maybe a little puzzled, maybe a little concerned. That's JJ McCarthy. What does this mean for him?
I mean, yeah, add on top that Kyler Murray's contract reportedly includes a no tag clause, meaning he's betting on himself to play his way into a long-term deal there or elsewhere. JJ McCarthy is still on the roster. The Athletics reporting that O'Connell told McCarthy this was coming, and McCarthy's response was essentially to embrace the competition. He's been working with former NFL quarterback John Beck this offseason, specifically on layering passes over the middle, and an area he struggled in last season. The Vikings cut back his over-the-middle concepts entirely last year because of it. That's some of the new reporting.
So do you think McCarthy can actually win this job?
Seems highly unlikely. James Palmer's reporting suggests Murray is coming to start, not compete. O'Connell would not officially name Murray the starter Thursday, but reading between the lines, it's Murray's job. McCarthy becomes the development project again. And he was young when he got drafted. But the question is whether he flourishes getting second team reps or whether this stunts his growth at a critical stage.
Right. And the stat that hit me, Albert Breer pointed out this on social media. With Murray's release from Arizona, just 3 of the 29 first-round quarterbacks drafted between 2010 and 2019 are still with the teams that drafted them. 3. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar Jackson, and that's it. Yeah, everyone else is either gone, cut, or failed. So put Murray in that group. First-round pick, big money, moved on. It's a brutal position.
And the 3 guys left, the 3 best quarterbacks in football. So the process works when it works. And when it doesn't, you get 26 cautionary tales. I'm sorry. I'd like to bring up again, good luck to Fernando Mendoza. One highly paid center won't save your life. Okay. Speaking of not liking the Raiders, my Broncos, the story of Denver's free agency is we didn't do anything flashy at all.
Yeah, quiet week for the Broncos.
Quietest opening day George Payton has had since he became GM in 2021. No outside free agents signed on day one. First time that's happened. But here's why it's not panic time, because the difference between the fan base and the analyst is Grand Canyon deep right now. The Broncos spent the last 8 months of the last season training camp through playoffs, extending their own players. They've got linebackers Justin Strnad and Alex Singleton re-signed, tight end Adam Troutman, running back J.K. Dobbins. 6 potential defensive starters were already locked up before free agency even opened. George Payton's quote of the combine was essentially, just think if we didn't get those guys wrapped up, what we'd be facing right now. And the answer is a nightmare.
Yeah, and they lost John Franklin Myers.
Their best defensive line departure, 3 years, $63 million deal with the Tennessee Titans, $21 million a year. He had 14.5 sacks in 2 seasons in Denver. He's going to be excellent in Tennessee, and yeah, it's a real loss. But here's the Broncos' answer to it. Malcolm Roach extended in November for 3 years, $29.5 million. Uzorki, I'll slow down for the radio audience and say his full name. Iome Owazoroki is entering the last year of his rookie deal and should see more snaps. Savion Jones, their 2025 third-round pick from LSU, was used sparingly last year, but quietly impressed the coaching staff in practice. George Payton said, we see the development. He only played 33 snaps, but he had 4 or 5 pressures and a fumble recovery. The guy's going to be a player.
The Dobbins re-signing. How do you feel about that?
Cautiously optimistic. I said on this podcast that I thought he played his way out of it by not getting ready for the AFC Championship game because, again, the reason there's a big gap with what the fans wanted and what the team actually did is the Broncos were the number 1 seed in the AFC. Why would they not re-sign all their players? Everyone was like, oh, all they're doing is keeping their own. They're the only team to not sign a player from another team because they were the best team in the league until their quarterback got hurt. If you think they could have been in the Super Bowl easily if Bo Nix didn't get injured, why would you change the team?
Yeah, that's a good point.
None of them are old. It didn't make any sense to me. I was watching, we didn't get Travis Etienne. Oh, no, Kenneth Walker. J.K. Dobbins was top 9 running back when he wasn't hurt last year.
Sure.
We talk about regression to the mean on injuries all the time. What are the odds he's hurt in the championship again next year? A lot lower now.
Yeah.
I mean, the wide receiver room is the question, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say.
They passed on people like Alec Pierce. I'm glad they did. But, they've got Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant ascending enough that they don't need to overpay outside. Troy Franklin he's entering a critical part right now. It's going to be like year 3 with the guy he set a record with in college. They've got chemistry. They're going to get close, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, Romeo Doubs put up nearly identical numbers to Troy Franklin in Green Bay. So,
yeah. And then we got quite a deal. So
4 years, $68 million from the Patriots. So
yeah.
Troy Franklin's not chopped liver. It's just all these, sidearm analysts on Twitter and on social media. You guys all just want the team to build a fantasy lineup. It's just not how it works.
Yeah. Yep. A little bit of a bet for Denver, looking at it that way, just kind of betting on their own guys. And who's to say it's not going to work?
It's a very Broncos bet. As of today, a reporter who covers Denver noted they have 71 players on the roster, 9 draft picks, and 10 spots for outside free agents before hitting the 90-man offseason limit. They still have room and the window's open, but they don't have a lot of room because they liked what they had.
Right. All right. Talk a little bit of Panthers.
And unlike Denver, Carolina went and spent.
That's right.
They went and got their guys. The big addition in the first wave, Jalen Phillips on edge, Devin Lloyd at linebacker, Kenny Pickett at quarterback as the backup, Luke Fortner at center, Stone Forsythe at tackle. I mean, it's a real haul.
Right. And let's start with Phillips and Lloyd because those are the marquee signings.
Jalen Phillips, 27 years old, ascending edge rusher, was traded from Miami to Philly at the deadline last year and immediately had an impact. He was number 2 in the overall free agent rankings this year. He got 4 years, $98 million. He's an explosive athlete, violent play style, real coverage ability. Carolina needed a pass rusher badly. They couldn't generate pressure even after spending last year. So Phillips addresses that directly.
Sure.
Devin Lloyd. This is the one I really love. 27-year-old linebacker out of Jacksonville, 5 interceptions last year, tied for second in the NFL. A 3-down player who can rush the passer, defend the run, and cover. He had 28 pressures as an off-ball linebacker, 3rd in the league at his position. 4 years, $76 million. The Panthers' defensive coordinator runs a pressure-heavy scheme, so Lloyd is perfect for it.
So what still needs to happen in Carolina?
The tackle situation is genuinely concerning. Iwanu is out recovering from tendon surgery, and the stopgap left tackle they were hoping to re-sign quietly retired this week.
Right.
Yosh Nijman. So that came as a surprise to the organization. So now they're looking at guys like Jamari Slayer, who was a swing tackle and guard versatility, or Cam Robinson as a short-term fill. I mean, the expectation is they use their first-round pick at 19 on a tackle. Blake Miller from Clemson was the Panthers' OL coach running drills at his pro day this week, so that's not subtle.
Safety and nickel corner also still needs for this team.
Yep. Andre Sisco from the Jets, young ball hawking skills coming off a torn pec, so he might take a team-friendly deal. Nick Scott, their own safety who tested the market, might come back. Roger McCreary for the nickel if the price is right. GM Dan Morgan still has work to do, but the foundation of that defense, Phillips, Lloyd, Trevon Moehrig, J.C. Horn. I mean, that's the best core we've seen for the Panthers since they made a run with Cam Newton on defense.
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree since the Kuechly days.
Oh, there's some disgusting stats about just how bad they've been. I saw that, if I saw this correctly, Devin Lloyd had more, I can't remember if it was tackles or sacks, but he had more last year than every inside linebacker since Luke Kuechly for the Panthers combined.
Dang.
So signing him is hopefully going to be a really big help because they've missed Kuechly something fierce.
Jeez.
Let's talk about how the first week of free agency reshuffled the draft board because a few moves changed things significantly.
Jeremiah Love. Where's he going?
What a great question. What I was thinking about too. I mean, Kansas City and New Orleans both went out and signed running backs. That's who we thought was going to have to reach in round one.
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs got Kenneth Walker on a 3-year deal. Excuse me for a second. Why? Why? Okay. Just had to get that off my chest.
Yeah.
Saints got Travis Etienne on a 4-year deal. And I have no idea why. I haven't looked into it yet, but he said that like the Broncos and the Chiefs were going after him, but then once the Saints came up, it was a no-brainer. Maybe it's because he doesn't care how good the team is and he just wanted to live in New Orleans and stay in the South.
Yeah, could be.
I mean,
it's not that far of a move for him. So
went to Clemson.
Yeah.
Whole career so far with Jaguars, Saints, just stay in the South. Maybe that's it.
Right.
I don't know, but so the top 10 running back slot feels less obvious now. One analyst said he still refuses to believe Love falls past 15, even if somebody has to trade up. The Titans, who hired Robert Saleh, who saw firsthand in San Francisco what an elite back does for an offense, still makes sense. Washington could take a swing at 7. Be kind of crazy, though. I think they need too much help on every line. And one draft analyst floated an interesting one. Miami. Pair Love with Devon Achane and Malik Willis. That's a dynamic offense. One that would really use a guy like Mike McDaniel running it.
Yeah. Funny how that works.
If only I know that their new guy is also from the San Francisco tree, but it's like if Mike McDaniel is, I kind of hope, and now that he's not your head coach, maybe we can agree on this. I hope he's a fraud,
right?
Because he's the Chargers offensive coordinator now. Yeah, let's say that he only works with Kyle Shanahan and he becomes like these mini Chiefs coaches who can't get a job anywhere else and just have to keep going back to Andy Reid for a job. Hopefully he just goes back to Kyle Shanahan after this and the Chargers miss the playoffs again.
Let's see what happens, man. All right. Edge rusher market already dried up. What does that do to the draft?
I mean, teams that missed out on Phillips, Hendrickson, Owe, Pay. They're all coming for Bailey, Bain, and Falk in the first round. I mean, the edge group at the top of this draft is elite. After those 3, it drops off. Teams know it. Expect a run. And that they quietly matters. The tackle market in free agency was softer than expected. Elijah Vera Tucker and Jermaine Elmanor are really the only notable signings, which means 7 offensive tackles could go in the first round. Giants at 5 already have 1 penciled in, according to a lot of mocks. Browns need the position badly, so there's going to be a run there as well.
Draft's April 23rd. We'll keep hitting at it as it gets closer.
And remember, believe nothing. Quick Tennessee Titans note because it's genuinely worth talking about. Tennessee unveiled new uniforms this week, their first major rebrand since 2018. New primary logo called the Shield, featuring the tri-star from the Tennessee state flag. The colors are now Titans blue, navy, white, and red. The helmet is white with a stripe down the middle, representing 6 guitar strings, a nod to Nashville's Music City identity.
I actually like that guitar string detail. That's pretty clever.
The context matters too. This is the Titans' 30th season in Tennessee. They have a new head coach in Robert Saleh, new OC in Brian Daboll, new stadium coming in 2027. They just signed Franklin Myers from Denver. They could take Carnell Tate at 4 in the draft. This franchise is in a genuine transition moment. New uniforms are the right call when they're actually rebuilding the whole thing.
Yeah. Curious to see how they look on TV. Little more like the Houston Oilers, but I do like it.
Like when the Broncos had new uniforms, we were like, why do it? And because they're so good, no one talks about them. We're all used to it already because they just got good as soon as they changed their uniforms. Right. Tennessee is hoping to get some of that same synergy going. This one deserves its own moment because it's genuinely bad. A fantasy analyst broke it down perfectly on social media this week. Seattle ranked 30th in pass rate over expectation last year, meaning they run the ball a lot. Then they let Kenneth Walker walk. Walker went to the Chiefs on a 3-year deal. They re-signed Rashid Shaheed and the receiver returner for 3 years, $34.7 million guaranteed. So the money they paid Rashid Shaheed, who we're not taking anything away from,
Right.
could have just been given to Kenneth Walker, who just was the Super Bowl MVP for your team.
Right. So what does their running back room look like right now?
George, what is his name? Holani?
I think Kalani, yeah.
Only running back on the roster, clearly a household name. Zach Charbonnet tore his ACL in January, so Kenny McIntosh is coming back from an ACL tear from July. They have picks 32, 64, 96, and 188 in the draft. They need to address this badly.
Yeah.
And the draft this year has Jeremiah Love potentially falling to them if they're aggressive, or maybe a day 2 back as the move is more likely. What do you think? Do you think they should draft, or do you think there's another running back out there that we're overlooking?
I think you got to draft, man. It's become kind of a disposable position at this point. So I think unless you have a real stud, don't overpay for it.
Cardinals signed 6 players this week per Adam Schefter. Tyler Algier at running back. Gardner Minshew as a quarterback. Since Kyler Murray's gone, is he the starter? We don't know yet. Elijah Wilkinson and Matt Pryor on the offensive line. Jonah Williams on the D-line, and a long snapper. So Arizona is using the money we thought was from Malik Willis and spending it on several other positions, stacking the roster around. So it's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. The stat that's floating around about the first round quarterbacks, Albert Breer put it on social. With Murray's release, just 3 of those quarterbacks, like I mentioned, that's right. It's pretty crazy.
But it's worth bringing up again because 26 guys drafted in the first round at the most important position in sports did not stick. And that hit rate is terrifying. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean,
that's why teams overpay. Yeah. Yeah. And why everyone else is Kyler Murray getting $36.8 million from Arizona to play for Minnesota.
So, I mean, that's the NFL for this week. Obviously, we don't want to crowd you with too much of it in the offseason. We don't want to get into too much speculation, but that's the stuff we think that other people probably missed that you needed to know. Now, time for a new segment. Dan, get the applause ready, or see if you can have if you got boos or something like that. Anything that sounds like a sitcom noise that you can just randomly interject, Dan. Perfect. Time for our Seinfeld of the week. Each week, we're going to read one viral modern-day Seinfeld post from social media. These are fan-written parody premises imaging what a Seinfeld episode would look like today. A bit that feels loose, funny, and conversational. So, we're not going to keep it long, but it's something I threw out at Sean just randomly because I thought a lot of people are trying to do this same bit over and over where they're like taking modern day events and making a Seinfeld script out of it. And so we just want to highlight one every week that we can find a good one to share with you and have a little laugh. Because if you haven't seen Seinfeld, I don't think you're at least aware of it if you're in our demo.
Right? Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so this one was posted March 11th and has almost 10,000 likes. Here we go. Modern day Seinfeld. Jerry dates a woman named Julia with views on the Middle East he hates, but she has a giant rack. Kramer stockpiles barrels of crude oil to sell for a profit, but didn't realize it can't go in cars. And now he has to try to sell it back. George tries to make insider bets on DraftKings on Yankees trades, but the team never makes any of the trades. Elaine is smitten by a handsome guy, but won't commit because he still listens to Diddy's music since Diddy never did anything to me, end quote. Newman has to deliver mail to Jay Epstein and is convinced Jeffrey must still be alive. So he stakes out the apartment only to find it's actually Julia, The girl Jerry is dating.
Newman staking out the Epstein apartment.
That's the closer. I mean, it's beautiful.
Kramer with the crude oil barrels is definitely something I can see him getting into.
He would not know that it didn't go into a car, and they've already done a funny barrel bit on Seinfeld before, so I'm sure that's where somebody got the inspiration.
Sure.
The George one is painfully real. George would 100% try to bet on Yankee trades based on something he overheard at the stadium, and then the Yankees would do literally none of them. I mean,
he'd get so frustrated with it. Then they'd finally do it the one time he didn't decide to bet it.
Yeah. Well, if you find a good one this week, send it to us. We'll do this every week. No idea what we're calling the segment yet. I mean, Seinfeld of the week, Festivus grievances, nothing happened. We're open to suggestions.
Send your name ideas to the show too. If you have a good name for the segment.
All right. Sean's headlines of the week.
Yeah, got some fun things just to run by you and just get some real-time reactions from you. Nothing too deep that we're going to get into, but see what happens here.
All right.
So you know the show Euphoria, right? HBO.
I've heard of it.
Yep, sure. So
it's got that one really popular actress on it.
Yeah,
or
a couple
actor.
actually. Yeah, a couple. So one of their composers blasted the show and quietly quit, just weeks before the return in season 3.
Oh, wow. Do we know what it was about, or are we speculating?
So he just said he was done with this industry. 37-year-old British composer, Labyrinth, Emmy award-winning composer, I should say, just said he was done with the industry. Said, F this industry and double F Euphoria. I'm out. Thank you and good night. No further comment was made, but clearly something went down that really irritated him.
I'd say that because it's a composer, not a big deal.
Okay. Yeah.
If it was an actor, actress, somebody in creative, you should be worried as a Euphoria fan that this is going to be a terrible season. But
sure,
composers are so temperamental.
Maybe maybe felt underpaid, something like that. Who knows?
Yeah, don't they make Sydney Sweeney like an OnlyFans model this season? It's just
I think so. Yeah, I think that's
hitting
one of
the
the
nail
plot
on the
lines.
head a little bit too
Right.
much. All right.
Okay. Now we've got. Let's see here. Lil Nas X was in court recently because he was wandering around naked in LA and allegedly assaulted some officers. And while in court, he asked the judge for a big boy chair.
What? What kind of chair was he in?
So something's going on there. Not exactly sure. I don't know. I guess so. Yeah. But yeah, so the story as to why he was arrested initially was pretty crazy. And then the fact that he wanted a big boy chair was kind of wild as well.
I don't know. If
afterwards,
this is
he was
just
interviewed
me.
and seemed to be in.
I don't know if this is just me, but Lil Nas X has got to be the most popular guy that people forget about. Like enough constant hits to be up there with like not quite Billie Eilish, but right below. Like Dua Lipa hasn't done anything since Barbie. It's been a couple years, so it's like some of these artists kind of come and go. Harry Styles, for instance, a lot more acting right now. No more songs for a while, but Lil Nas X be just doing the same thing, trying to be controversial, trying to like bring up points no one tries to bring up. And, but if you go to jail, you get closer to Fetty Wap. Better than getting Kanye, though.
Yeah, fair enough. Speaking of rap, Dr. Dre, according to Forbes, is finally a billionaire. It comes nearly a dozen years after he declared himself hip-hop's first rap billionaire, but he actually is one now, according to Forbes.
Well, I guess there's a discrepancy there on asset evaluation.
I think so. I think it has to do with selling the Beats by Dre to Apple. Yeah, I think that's when he declared himself a billionaire, but now it's official according to Forbes. So
what a good problem to have.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if I was a billionaire then or if I am now, but
they did that. Silicon Valley, the show on HBO, did
that's
this.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. One of the guys, Russ Hammond comes in. He's
Yep.
like, no, the zeros.
All right. Let's see. You remember Teen Mom?
Barely.
Okay. Well, one of the stars of that show, Janelle Evans, her son, who was 16, is going to be entering into a mental health facility because he allegedly pulled a gun on his grandmother, claims a report. So
Man,
I don't
people be
know.
pulling guns in crazy times.
I just don't know how much, like, and I don't think it has anything to do necessarily with the fact that it was a teen mom. I think it has everything to do with, like, that child's life has never not been on camera, like literally since birth, before birth. So I don't know how I didn't like that show at the time, to be honest with you. It just wasn't for me, but it doesn't seem to be playing out as something positive for the kids of said teen moms.
If I
I haven't
remember
heard any
correctly,
good stories coming out.
If I remember correctly, we were neither teen nor moms at the time.
Right. Yeah, not really for us, I don't think. But that's kind of crazy.
Well, I hope he gets
here.
the help he needs.
I know, right? Yeah, it is. It's sad to see, honestly.
And I'm looking forward to the reboot.
Are you?
The reboot of Teen Mom, where it's just the kids in rehab.
This
Do
one.
you remember that
happened a few
Do you
days-
remember the? Hold on. You remember the MTV
Okay.
show Scared Straight?
Yes.
Take Scared Straight. Take the people from Teen
Yep.
Mom. Boom.
Yep. There you go.
Right up there with the Scrubs revival. We'll be covering it every week.
Last one here. Just wanted to get your reaction to the news that hit the NBA world a few days ago with the Atlanta Hawks scrapping Magic City Monday.
I forgot about that. We
Yeah,
talked
right?
about it earlier this week. The Atlanta Hawks had a promotion with a strip club called Magic City. It even had shirts printed. It got right up until it happened. Then the NBA was like, "You're not doing that."
Yeah, but I mean, there was promotional material, sent out by the Atlanta Hawks, everything like that, like all going through official channels. And then I think they started to get some pushback and said, "Wait, we're not doing this."
Tell me another league that should be allowed in. If any
No, I
league
agree.
is, why can't strip clubs partner with a professional basketball team? We can make jokes about how any team James Harden is on, those strip clubs are going to make a lot more money. We can make those jokes. Shaq can make those jokes. Chuck can make those jokes. No one on the broadcast for the NBA needs to mention it. No one needs to bring it up. It would only be the people who are there.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about this when you and me go to NBA games, that NBA games, a lot of the stuff happening there, they're trying to entertain you between quarters and all this stuff. They pull out a lot more halftime type things through every quarter, and you never see them on actual television. No one ever covers them. So like if this hadn't been canceled, would any of us outside of Atlanta even known?
Yeah, no, probably not.
So I kind of thought it was weak. I think the NBA is trying to be for everybody, and it's like clearly being played by and watched by degenerate adults.
Yeah.
No kids watch the NBA. The kids are watching NCAA because they want to go to college. It's not until they get to college and they're actually good enough that they care about the NBA. It's not like the NFL.
Right.
It just isn't.
No, not at all.
Specifically where you live and I live, where the ACC rules.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got for you on headlines. So let's get back to some F1. Some effing around with F1.
You want to F around?
Yeah, let's do it. We're entering round 2 here. China's this weekend, and somehow the biggest story of the week has nothing to do with what's happening on the track.
We'll get to some race results. Melbourne is in the books, and it was genuinely a great weekend for the sport, but we need to talk about the calendar because this week it became official 2 races are being canceled. The Bahrain and Saudi Arabian Grand Prix both gone from the April schedule because of the war in the Middle East.
And there's a wild business story that broke this week about who might be buying a piece of Alpine. It involves a team that already supplies their engine.
Alpine. You do it every week.
I know.
I think it's Alpine Cheese, Alpine the team.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Here's how we're doing this. We'll recap the race. We'll get through Bahrain and the cancellations. Then we'll go to the Alpine story at the very end. And then China Sprint Weekend preview for our lives after that.
If you're watching or listening Sunday morning after the China race, you can stop before the China section and you won't get any spoilers. We will give you a verbal warning. Let's get into it.
Melbourne Round 1, 2026 Formula One officially began. And here's the headline. Mercedes won. George Russell took the race victory. Kimi Antonelli second, a 1-2 for Mercedes in the season opener.
which after everything about their starts being terrible in testing, Russell saying his practice starts were the worst of his career, they figured it out.
They locked out the front row in qualifying too. Commanding performance. Toto Wolff said after the race, the prevailing feeling is now we have a fight on our hands with Ferrari, which is an interesting thing to say when you just won.
Yeah, because it means they know they didn't just run away with it.
Ferrari made it a race. Charles Leclerc started fourth and made one of the most remarkable starts of the season. We'll talk about that in a second. And actually led the race. He and Russell had a genuinely compelling battle for the lead. Leclerc eventually fell back to third. Hamilton fourth. Ferrari 1-2 combination on pace was real.
And McLaren?
Sean, I'm sorry. Oscar Piastri didn't make it to the grid. He crashed out on his way to the formation lap. Cold tires hit a curb, and the new engine delivered a sudden burst of power when he changed gear. More than it had at any other point that weekend in that spot, and it spun him into the wall.
Yeah, that's his home race, his home crowd, the Oscar Piastri grandstand, and he didn't start. It's kind of a bummer for those fans.
Lando Norris finished fifth, so McLaren got points. Norris started further back and drove through the field to fifth, but Piastri not starting was genuinely heartbreaking for those fans, as you mentioned. I mean, the country has been waiting 45 years for an Australian world champion since Alan Jones in 1980. Piastri was the closest they've had to a real shot last year, and then this year, with all the anticipation, he didn't even make it to the grid at home. Race one.
And what about Max? Where'd he finish?
Sixth. He started 20th. Let me say, he started 20th. We'll explain why in the start section, and he drove from the back to sixth in a car he said had issues. That's Verstappen for you. I mean, his magic right there. He always complains and does well.
Yeah. Haas had a strong race. Ollie Behrman, seventh, one of the best outside of the top teams. Arvid Lindblad scored points on his first F1 debut for Racing Bulls. Gabriel Bortoleto, Audi scored. Pierre Gasly for Alpine.
First race of the new era. Great stories throughout the field. And Aston Martin, both cars managed to start and complete laps, given where they were on Friday with 2 batteries left and no backup. Just making it to the race was a small miracle for this. It's been promising us rainbows since before we knew last year's champion.
Mm-hmm.
We had to spend some time on this because it's not just a racing quirk. It became a genuine safety concern at Melbourne.
Right. Yeah, set it up for us.
Under the new 2026 rules, the race start process is dramatically more complicated than it used to be. Drivers have to hit the right revs to get the turbo spooling. Then they wait for the electric power to kick in at around 31 miles per hour. Then they work through gears while managing these sudden power changes. Ferrari figured this out. Their smaller turbos spool up faster. Leclerc went from fourth on the grid to leading at turn 1 because Ferrari's cars just launch better than everyone else's right now. It's a structural advantage, and rivals say they can't easily copy it.
And everyone else?
Verstappen and Russell both reported arriving at the Melbourne grid with their batteries essentially empty. Max said he wasn't the only car with almost no battery. He said several drivers were down to 20 or 30%. And when you arrive with no battery, the second phase of your start, when the electric power should kick in, just doesn't happen the way it should.
So you're saying some cars are launching full power, others are launching with no electric boost.
Exactly. And the speed differentials are extreme, which is what led to the scariest moment of the race weekend, the near miss between Franco Colapinto of Alpine and Liam Lawson of Racing Bulls. Lawson stalled on the grid. He said after Melbourne, he saw Colapinto's car coming at him in his mirror, and he had braced for impact. He was certain he was about to be hit. But Colapinto somehow weaved around the stationary car. The video of it went viral. George Russell, Kimi Antonelli, and Leclerc watched the replay together at the podium ceremony and were visibly shocked.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been catastrophic.
Ocon from Haas said, "You don't want to see somebody stalled in front of you appearing from nowhere. That's probably one of the worst crashes you can have." Now the teams have been talking to the FIA about solutions. A proposed fix would be to raise the energy harvesting limit just for the formation lap, so cars arrive at the grid with full batteries. It sounds simple, but then you have the team politics.
Ferrari's against the change.
You're paying attention. George Russell implied as much. He said some teams who are making good starts were opposing the fix, and then said, "You can probably guess which team." Leclerc's response was essentially, "Let's wait and see more data before making changes." The FIA had a meeting with all 11 teams this week in Shanghai. The decision, no rule change for now. The only tweak made for China is 2 extra practice start opportunities during the weekend's practice session. The governing body's position is that teams need to adapt to the new regulations rather than changing the rules 2 races in.
And that's reasonable enough, but someone gets hurt.
Yeah, the Haas team principal, Iowa Komaitso, said they probably need to see 5 or 6 different circuits before making a real judgment call. The Audi TP, Jonathan Wheatley, said the sport learns really fast and to keep a steady hand.
And there's also the broader yo-yo problem with the racing itself. One driver hits overtake mode, passes someone, then loses the energy they spent. The other car passes them back on the next straight. Norris called it the yo-yo in testing. Some fans love it. Some fans hate it. Sergio Perez called it very fake.
The honest truth is it's still being figured out. 2 races in, everybody's confused, including the teams, the drivers, the TV graphics packages. They can't even show which drivers are using the energy mods in real time. Rule changes are being discussed, but they're not going to make things simpler overnight. However, they may get a chance to make some changes with a unscheduled break. Big news this week, and it became official. Multiple sources confirmed the Bahrain and Saudi Arabian Grand Prix are being canceled. Both of them gone from the April calendar.
Not postponed, canceled.
Effectively canceled for the season. Here's the timeline of why. The war in the Middle East began in February late. U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran triggered a widening conflict across the Gulf. Iran struck back at sites in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, all F1 host countries. A U.S. naval base roughly 20 miles from the Bahrain F1 circuit was hit.
And F1 has freight literally sitting at the Bahrain track right now from preseason testing.
Right. Teams can't even retrieve it. Multiple major Middle Eastern airlines, Emirates, Qatar Airways, have been disrupting travel. The FIA already postponed the World Endurance Championships Qatar opener. The writing was on the wall, and the practical deadline was always, when does the freight have to move to arrive in time? That window closed, and a decision had to come.
So what does this do to the calendar?
It leaves a 35-day gap between the Japanese Grand Prix on March 29th and the Miami Grand Prix on May 3rd. That's the longest gap of the season by far. Portimao and Imola have been floated as possible replacements, but getting a full race weekend with tens of thousands of fans at short notice is nearly impossible. The financial math doesn't work for zero-fee replacement events. So the realistic outcome is a 22-race season instead of 24, which essentially gives us, 1 race per driver?
Right. Yeah.
11 teams, 2 drivers each.
And what about the financial implications here?
Saudi Arabia deal alone is reportedly worth over $50 million a year to F1. Zach Brown said in Melbourne, it probably makes a dent in team budgets, but added, and this was the right quote, "That's the least of our concern on what's going on." He's right. People are dying. A car race is secondary.
Sure. And what about the later Middle East races? Azerbaijan's on the calendar in September, Qatar in late November, Abu Dhabi, December.
No current concerns about those. The situation would have to escalate further over the coming months to threaten the year-end calendar. So for now, those races are still on.
And one more detail that I want to acknowledge, because it's not just a sports story. The war began late in February, like you said, with U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran. Iran's supreme leader among those killed, along with more than 1,000 civilians, according to local reports. So it's a major geopolitical event. F1 races being canceled is genuinely the footnote, not the headline here.
Well said. I mean, we cover it because it affects the sport we love, but the context is enormous. So this one broke this week out of the China paddock, and it's genuinely wild from an F1 politics standpoint. Mercedes is in talks to buy a 24% stake in the Alpine Formula One team.
The team whose engine they already supply.
The team whose engine and gearbox they supply through 2030. Flavio Briatore, Alpine's de facto team boss, confirmed it in a press conference in Shanghai this week. He said there are 3 or 4 potential buyers for the stake. One group reportedly involves Christian Horner, the former Red Bull team principal. And yes, Mercedes is one of the bidders.
Who owns the stake being sold here?
A group called Outro Capital, which is one of 3 American firms that bought into Alpine in 2023. Here's where it gets fun. Outro Capital's investors include Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. You know, the Kansas City Chiefs have a stake in an F1 team.
And if I'm not mistaken, we've got Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhaney in the other investment group.
Correct. Maximum Effort Investments, the Wrexham guys. They're in a separate consortium. The Renault Group still owns 76% of Alpine. Briatore said bluntly, whoever buys the 24% is essentially a passenger. The 75% holder makes the decisions.
But if Mercedes owns a piece of Alpine, doesn't that create a conflict of interest? Mercedes supplying the engine, now they'd have an ownership stake in one of the teams running that engine.
McLaren CEO Zach Brown has been complaining about multi-team ownership for years. He's specifically called out Red Bull owning Racing Bulls as a problem. This would be a different structure, but raises similar questions, as you pointed out. The Audi team principal said the sport has very clear governance on this. It's not banned, but it's complicated.
And the sheer soap opera of it. Toto Wolff, who's previously owned shares in Williams and Mercedes, potentially taking a piece of Alpine while supplying their engine, only in F1.
Briatore made a point of clarifying the negotiation is with Mercedes, the company, not with Wolff personally. He also said multiple times he himself has no interest in buying in. I'm just watching what's going on, he said. Yeah. Nothing to see.
Nothing to see here. Says the guy running the team.
I'm doing nothing. I just have everybody placing really well. So real quick, because this is the most debated question in the F1 world right now, is the new formula working?
I think it's a mixed bag so far, right?
Honest assessment, I mean, the racing is different. And that's genuinely confusing for some fans. The yo-yo passes, as you mentioned, where one driver hits overtake mode, make a pass, then gets repassed because they're used their energy, doesn't feel like traditional wheel-to-wheel combat. One newsletter writer put it perfectly. The Russell-Leclerc battle in Melbourne was genuinely captivating. His partner, who doesn't normally watch F1, sat down to watch the replay and was hooked. The racing looks good from the outside. It just sounds weird, and the logic of it is hard to follow.
And the cars are faster relative to themselves than you'd think. Piastri got within touching distance of the 2024 lap record in just that first practice session.
The TV graphics packages can't even show what the drivers are doing with their energy in real time. Viewers can't see who's using overtake mode, who's harvesting, who's deploying. There's a visual language that doesn't exist yet. One publication pointed out that fans have complained about every major rule change in F1 history. Sounds like fans. They found a letter from 1972 from a fan saying the present mess-up over fuel rules was the end of Grand Prix racing. The sport survived, and it usually does.
So 5 races in is when the Haas TP says they'll have a real sense of whether the rules need tweaking. China this weekend already giving them some more data. The sprint format means 2 race starts, which is actually valuable, right, for figuring out that battery issue.
And here's the honest positive. I mean, the top 4 teams, Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull, are all genuinely, legitimately close within fractions of a second. That hasn't always been the case in recent years. If the racing stays this tight through the season, the championship fight alone will carry it. All right. Legal disclaimer. The following includes gambling discussion intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. Ian is in Virginia. Sean is in North Carolina. We are not attorneys, financial advisors, or licensed bookmakers. Nothing said here is professional or legal advice. You are solely responsible for your own gambling decisions. Always gamble legally and responsibly. Need help? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Before we get to China, I want to talk about Melbourne from a betting perspective, because I started posting my F1 card on the All In with Ian Substack last season. This was the first race, so I didn't post it ahead of time because of the new rules, but I did make the bets and I did make money. So let's review it right now.
Yeah, walk us through it.
First, and I say this every time, what is a unit, Sean?
10% of your betting budget for
week.
now, for the week.
For now. 1 unit for our purposes equals 10% of whatever you've set aside to gamble with this week. Money you are fine completely losing.
There we go. And discipline's the whole thing, right? You don't blow it all on one bet.
Yeah, most people blow it all in one bet. They win a couple bets, they just start betting bigger. No, bet the same amount, bet measured things. Don't give in to impulses. Don't give in to boost.
Exactly.
I played 3 2-leg parlays at Melbourne. Let's go through them. Parlay 1, Nico Hulkenberg to finish in the top 10, paired with Max Verstappen to finish in the top 6. The Hulkenberg leg was voided. Something happened with that one, and the bet did not grade, but that counts as a win. So it came back as a void, and the parlay reduced to a single leg on Verstappen. But top 6, I made that bet after he started 20th, and he drove to 6. Hit, green, profit.
The void actually kind of saved you there in a weird way. You know, if Hulkenberg had lost, that's a 2-leg loss. Instead, you got Verstappen as a single.
Exactly. I mean, that's F1 betting. Sometimes the chaos works for you. And I'll say this. You want to guess what the odds were for Max to finish in the top 6 when he started 20th on pole?
It's probably just plus 100 or something.
Not even plus. It was minus 110. It was like a spread NFL bet, like a normal against the spread bet, which was insane to me, but it also verified what I knew. He could do this.
Yeah.
So parlay 2, Arvid Lindblad to finish in the top 10. Yes, I bet on the only rookie, paired with Lewis Hamilton to finish in the top 6. Both legs. So, I mean, the parlay 1, we get green there.
Right. Yeah, the Lindblad one, that's pretty crazy. 18-year-old rookie, first F1 race, top 10 finish. That's a real read.
He looked quick all weekend, talked about it on the show, and when you do your research, the bets find themselves. Parlay 3, Liam Lawson to finish in the points, paired with Isaac Hajar to finish in the top 6. Both legs lost. Lawson, he was involved in that terrifying near miss at the start with Colapinto. Hajar had a technical retirement, so red line loss.
So 2 wins and a loss on that card.
Net positive on the week, and that's the point. You don't need to go 4 for 4. You need to be right more than you're wrong, and when you're wrong, you lose. I think a unit, maybe 2/3 of a unit was the one I lost.
Mm-hmm.
The most I did was a little bit over a unit on the first bet, a solid unit on the second bet, and then the last bet was just under that at 2/3. So
okay. And are you going to be sharing these moving forward?
Yes, now that we've got 1 race weekend under our belt, check the All In with Ian Substack. The card will go up after qualifying because I need to know where they're starting to make bets on where they're going to go. I don't like making F1 bets before, the whole thing with their batteries dying in practice, like they may not finish the race. Like imagine watching the first practice and being like, wow, Aston Martin's really coming along. Let me put some money on them. Then they're terrible the rest of the weekend for 3 days. No.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like based on the time change, you might see this article come out in the middle of the night, Saturday. It's the race is 3 a.m. Sunday Eastern time in China.
Yep.
So that's pretty much it. I mean, other than that, we could preview the China race, but I think it's easier just to review it at this point.
I would
because with a sprint race coming up, it's just not a normal format this week.
Yeah, I agree. I think we kind of just look at the macro right now. 2 races in, you've got Mercedes leading the championship. Ferrari in the fight. McLaren has the bad memory to a race. Red Bull has Max, which is always enough to worry about.
And somewhere above it all, 2 races just got canceled because there's a war in the Middle East. F1 keeps racing and the world keeps turning.
Yeah, so we'll be back after China. That's Wit and Grit.
Yeah, until then, let's go racing.
Everybody have a good week, and we will talk to you guys again soon.
Back Friday afternoon. Follow us everywhere. If you're not on YouTube, please follow us. We need more YouTube followers. Help! Peace out.